Over the course of the 2 simulated years in our nation as Swagalopolis, my overall experience was enriching and fulfilling. I learned more from doing the simulations than just by taking notes from a PowerPoint all the time. Civic Mirror gave me the opportunity to be an active part of the government and push for my hidden agenda. In the Civic Mirror, both years I ran for the House of Representatives and succeeded to become Speaker of the House for both terms. So what did I actually learn in the Civic Mirror? Take it from someone who knows. Being a politician is not as easy as it may seem. As a political figure in the Civic Mirror society, it carries a lot more of a responsibility and burden, just like in the real world. As Speaker of the House, I had a lot more to do than the rest of the representatives. I was the one who had to stand up and speak to the citizens and present budgets that were sometimes unfeasible. I know there were some things that I did as a politician that some people found not nice. For example, me and my fellow representatives pushed strongly for the nationalization of many hexes. Many of the citizens that owned these properties were unwilling to sell them to us. This made it more and more difficult for us to complete our hidden agendas and gain the status points that were needed to win the game. Even though I already knew that money ran the world, the simulated country in Civic Mirror taught me this further. It gave me a very blunt view on just how powerful that green dollar bill is. When the hex auction came at the very beginning of the game, I remember looking at my bank balance and grimacing. I didn't have much. I had enough to buy me a house, nature hex, food, and an EI unit so I could live. I also paid my taxes out of this. This left me with no money in my bank the first year, and I could not buy the 2 education units I needed to gain wealth points. As the year progressed, I noticed that people were more interested in how much money they made than some of the bills that Congress passed. People in general could care less about what happened in nature hex, but when it came to taxes, there was almost an uproar. Everyone had different opinions. Some people were firmly against taxation, while others were for and encouraged high taxes and the government possessing most of the money. However, I noticed most citizens wanted medium taxes that left them with money in the end to spend on what they needed. Another situation when the government would want to buy hexes, these were prime moneymakers for people, especially the farms, education, and healthcare hexes. These hexes were almost impossible to get people to sell because then the citizens that owned them would not get the heaps of money from the goods they sold. This left the government with a lot of unspent cash from taxes, and the bank sat idle. Something that really stuck out to me in this simulated country is that people are in fact more than willing to screw you over to get what they want. When it came to trading, courts, and town hall, you might as well have brought fresh popcorn and sat in the back of the room just to watch. I guarantee you would get your fill of drama. how the government and our country works. Not only do I understand more on the process the government goes through to get things done, but I also have learned why they argue so much and why coming to conclusions to put a bill into effect is so difficult. After serving in the government, I learned that being at the top is not as easy as it looks, and that if not careful, the country will fall rock bottom. Without a strong government, the country soon falls apart, but if the government is too strong, people will suffer. After this jubilation, I now feel enlightened as to why and how our government works and why they do it. I've also come to appreciate things that Congress does a lot more, and understand some of the difficulties they have when it comes to passing bills, making laws, and trying to keep the people happy, because it is almost impossible to please both parties at the same time.